Scales?
Whoops. Yes.
What?
Whoops.
Scales. Yeah,
We are 7.4.
Scales? Yeah.
And it's called scales, guys. Come on. If y'all want that tomorrow, we've got to move on this. All right, scale. It is the ratio of a drawing's length to the actual length. We are talking about maps. Okay, scale is the ratio of a drawing's length to the actual length. Maybe there's a possible. Okay. The one thing that you need to remember model over actual. Model over actual. This can be if it's a map drawing, like a road map, a city map, any kind of map, okay? It could also be if you're buying something, okay? When you go on Amazon and you buy certain things, like if it's a model of something, you have to understand the scale to understand how big the actual item is. Like if you're buying a replica of the Ghostbuster vehicle, you got to make sure when you're looking at it that it's not this big or this big. And so the scale will tell you approximately what you're getting. Does that make sense? Like my husband decided to buy Zachary years ago when he was real young, a German tank and an American tank from like World War II or something. And he never buys anything online. Usually I do it. And there's a reason why. The boxes arrived and they were like the size of this desk. What did you do? He goes, I bought him some toys. He thought they were going to be the size of like this remote. They were huge things that had to go in the garage.
Could you sit in it?
No. I don't know what you do. You could play with it, but it was huge. So he was like, I thought they were going to be, this big. And I'm like, did you look at the scale? He didn't think about that.
What about the price?
Well, no, because usually models and collector things usually are expensive. So it didn't. He was like, look how cheap this is, because it wasn't a collector's thing.
It would probably be used for props.
It was like, I don't know. So anyway, scale, model, and actual actually is kind of important to know. Okay, so when we're doing this, when we're talking about scales and everything, we are setting it up as a proportion. When setting up proportions, because that's what we're going to be doing, to compare scale. It's going to look like a fraction equals a fraction. It's going to look like that. But one, you're going to set up proportions by placing the two links being compared in the same location, and I'll explain that too, on each ratio. Tanner, you're going to have to wait until after I'm done teaching. I'm going to write this down, then I'll let y'all catch up. Then you're going to cross multiply. And then 3, you're going to solve. And I'm going to explain that to you. So we're going to set everything up in what looks to be a proportion. A proportion is two ratios, or you can say fractions, with an equal sign in between. So we're going to set all this up. That's what you're going to be doing. And then we cross multiply and solve. No, I'm turning the page. So it's okay. No, don't apologize. You good? Okay. Well, I know how much I need, the space I need for this one. I don't want to get cramped. Yeah, you'll have plenty of space. You'll have plenty of space. But me, with my notes, I don't want to mess up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and jump in on an example because I think you guys are going to get it with examples. Okay, so let's say the problem says distance on map between two towns is 3.6 centimeters. Map scale is 2 centimeters to 15 kilometers. What is the actual distance? Okay, once you have this written down, you put your pencil down, and then I'm going to explain this to you. Distance on map between two towns is 3.6 centimeters. Map scale is 2 centimeters to 15 kilometers. What is the actual distance? Okay, so picture a map. I know you guys haven't really been raised on maps, okay? But on a map, like a map of roads and everything, the distance between two towns is 3.6 centimeters. Now, distance between two towns is 3.6 centimeters. Is that the actual distance or the distance on the map? Okay, so common sense, two towns cannot be 3.6 centimeters away, right?
It's like towns that are like right next to each other.
3.6 centimeters though? Okay, but I get what you're saying. So that's the only thing you're going to have to really determine is when they say the distance between two towns is 3.6 centimeters, you got to know they're talking about the map. Another word for map is model. Another word for map is model. They said the scale, the map scale is 2 centimeters to 15 kilometers. This is important information right here. So we know that the map distance is 3.6 centimeters for the model. We know the scale is 2 centimeters to 15 kilometers. They're asking what is the actual distance. So here's how you set it up. Remember, I'll do it in red. Model over actual is that formula. So we're going to set it up as a proportion. There's my proportion. Now, this is the part I need y'all to watch. Here's the proportion. Your scale should go into this first thing. So we have 2 centimeters over 15 kilometers. Remember, model over actual. Model, centimeters. Actual is going to be kilometers. 2 centimeters over 15 kilometers. See, model over actual. Or you can say map over actual. So there's my scale. Does everyone understand that? You 3 understand that? Okay. So then over here, I have to put 3.6 centimeters. Now, if this is the quote formula, where would 3.6 centimeters go? On top or bottom, Kelly?
Top.
Yes, ma'am. 3.6 centimeters goes on top. Now, if you can, and on your formula sheet that I'm going to give you with all the other stuff from yesterday and everything, I'm also going to have model over actual written down just to help you. But if you didn't even have that, when you're doing this, the labels have to be in the same location. If centimeters is on top, then centimeters is on top over here. So then we're looking for the actual's on the bottom, so we're just going to call that X. So there we go. Step 1 was to set up a proportion with the two things being compared, making sure they're all in the same location. We just did that. Step 2 is to cross multiply. So, I tell you, 2 times X is what? I'm going to put 2X over here, circle it. 15 times 3.6, I'm just going to help you, is 54. Just trust me on this. Save on time, I'm doing it. Because I know you guys know how to do this. So 15 times 3.6 is 54. So now I bring down my 2X on this side. Remember, it's on this side. Equals 54. So I want y'all to look to see what I did. I cross multiplied. X times 2, 2X. Remember, we always go up. And then 15 times 3.6 is 54. I bring them down on the side that they're on. 2X equals 54. Now I do intruder alert. So Kelly, how would I solve for X here?
You would divide
Both sides by what?
by 2.
That's right. So to save on time, I get X equals 27, and the actual is kilometers. That's what we're looking for, so 27 kilometers. That's what you're doing today. Any questions? None? Y'all get that one? Okay, let's say they didn't give us a scale and they want you to find the scale. Huh? Given two distances. Okay, so this time they didn't give us the scale. Because if they give you the scale, it's real easy. Put the scale in the first proportion and then figure out what they give you. Does it go on top or does it go on the bottom? Because sometimes they'll give you the actual and say find the map version or the model version. So that, and then you just cross multiply. That's easy. Finding the scale is a little different, yes?
What do you mean by this? What's the scale?
The scale is like, a normal scale, like on a map, it's always down kind of in the corner. It'll say 1 inch equals 25 miles.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Good question. Sometimes y'all ask me questions, I'm like, I know what it is, but how do I explain it? Okay, so let's say the map distance is 3/4 of an inch, but the actual distance is 60 miles. Okay, so if you look back up here, they gave us the scale. The map distance between two cities they gave us, and we had to find the real or the actual distance between the two cities. This time they gave us the map version between two cities and the actual, but we don't have the scale. So we're missing one whole thing. Okay, again, model over actual. Okay? We're going to set it up as a proportion again. Okay, now, in a scale, normally, what number goes on top? Anyone know?
On a scale?
Yeah, any scale, normally. I just gave you an example. What? Okay, but what number goes on top? Numeral.
For the map one.
For like anytime you do a scale, this one was unusual, 2 centimeters to 15 kilometers. What is it usually on scales? What number is usually first? Okay, but what is it, a 2, a 3, a 1? Normally it's a 1.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, let's go this direction. So remember on this proportion, I said the scale goes first?
Oh, are you saying if it's just like a whole number?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm sorry. I did not explain myself. Okay, so the scale usually goes in the first proportion. So the scale is going to go on this side. Okay?
Oh.
I'm sorry. This is my fault. So model over actual, the 3/4 is going to go here. Do we know what that is in decimal form? Kelly? Huh? Okay. So 3/4 equals 0.75. Do we know that?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to put 0.75 inches here because model over actual, the map goes here, right? Right? And then actual, 60 miles goes here. I think it's MI. I think it's just MI. So then we know that normal scales always have a 1. It's going to be 1 inch because if this is inches, this is inches. But we don't know what this is. Okay, so they gave us the map or the model. We turn it to a decimal, put that on top. The actual goes on the bottom. Scale, if they didn't give you the scale, we're going to always just put a 1 there. Now we cross multiply. This is 0.75x. This is 60. Bring that down. Y'all see what I'm doing? Now we're going to divide. $60 divided by 0.75. We move the decimal over, put a decimal, move it over. So now I've got 75 going into 6,000, right? How many times does 75 go into 600? Someone tell me. Kelly? Are you guessing? No, do some work right there. What?
8 times.
Okay. See that little 8 there? 8 times 75, 600. So, x equals what?
80.
You know what so then you have to write your scale.
Does it matter if we put x equals 80 instead of 80?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So your scale. Okay, so we solved this, so we know that the actual is 80. So your answer is 1 inch to 80 what? Miles. That's your answer when they say, what is the scale? If they don't give it to you. What?
Are we going to have like a separate formula on this?
Probably. Okay. Any questions on that? None? All makes sense? Okay. Let's do some more. Okay. Let's see. We're going to skip the reduction and enlargement thing and just stick with the scales for maps and stuff like that. And that's what your quiz is going to be over. Probably if we have time on like Friday, I might go back to revisit this, but I think we're just going to stick to this. Okay, let's go ahead and open your books. Page 285. Okay, let's look at number 2. Okay, Joseph, can you read the directions?
Find the distance represented by points separated by the following distances on a map. The scale is 1 centimeter, 20 kilometers.
To 20 kilometers. Okay, so 1 centimeter to 20 kilometers. Guess what I want y'all to do? I want you to underline the scale that's in the directions because you're going to be using that. You need to underline or highlight or circle, put a star. That is the scale that you will be using for numbers 1 through 4.
Can we have that all in there?
Yeah, all the scales. So the scale that you're going to be using to solve these problems is in the directions. Okay, so number 2, they tell us what the scale is in the directions. They said it's 1 centimeter to 20 kilometers. Okay, for number 2, they gave us 8 centimeters. Okay, so if they gave us the centimeters, is that the model or is that the actual? What does 8 centimeters represent, model or actual? Kelly? That's right. Because look, see, centimeters, kilometers. This is clearly the model. Okay, so first step, set up proportion. There's my proportion. Raise your hand if you can tell me what goes in the first ratio. Joseph?
1 centimeter on top
Yes?
and 20 kilometers in the bottom.
Perfect. So the scale goes in the first proportion. Good job. Okay. 8 centimeters. Italia, does that go on top or on bottom? That's right. Good job. You can tell because we determined that's the model, and model always goes on top, or because we want to keep centimeters together, and kilometers. So then down here we have an X. Now we cross multiply. 20 times 8 is 160. X times 1 is really just X. So then bring it down. X equals 160. And we need to make sure we have the correct label, kilometers. And you're done. Any questions? That's not too bad, is it?
That'll be hard.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Do y'all understand how to do these, or do I need to do more? Yes.
One question, why didn't we just put 8 times 20?
Well, I mean, in this case, it works out perfect, right? But sometimes it's not. Look at number, let's see, look at number 6.
Mm-hmm.
This time, what is the scale? Italia?
2 centimeters to 35 kilometers.
That's right, 2 centimeters to 35 kilometers. Given 4.8 centimeters.
What does it given mean?
That means they gave you.
I keep
They gave you that. Okay, so again, we're going to set it up as a proportion. Model over actual. Centimeters, this is just like up there, that's going to be your model. Scale goes in the first proportion, so we have 2 centimeters over 35 kilometers. And then 4.8 goes on top. We cross multiply, and this time x times 2 is 2x. 35 times 4.8, see I'm being nice to save on time, 168. Yeah. 2x equals 168. And y'all know we're going to divide. See, y'all know this. So therefore x equals 84 kilometers.
Okay, I see it now.
So whenever you have like a weird fraction, turn that into a decimal. It makes life so much easier. Let's see. I think y'all ready. Y'all want to just run with it?
Sure.
I'll make it easy on you. Yeah, I will. Okay, so I want y'all to do page 285, numbers. Wish they had one where it says find the scale. But you know they sit there and have you learn it, but then they don't give you any problems that are like that. Find the scale. That's just dumb. Why teach it? Okay, numbers 1.
So it would take longer to work on.
7 problems today.
Yay!
Yeah, 1 through 13. Odd. Due Thursday. So quiz will be tomorrow over 2 things. Okay.